mess with the shark. Yeah, that's shark. Hang on. Stop pushing the table away.
Hey, look at us and where we are. I think we're actually live this time.
Yeah.
So obviously we've had some technical difficulties. Not here in the night talk. What is it called? The night talk. The night talk. Breaking news mobile unit. We have the twins with us tonight. And only minutes before they were absolutely silent. But I think it's just so charming and so perfectly Living Dead Fest like. You know, this is what it's all about. And so just to start things off a little bit here, you know, we're trying to we've had a lot of success with these night talks. They've been really great. And sorry, and we want to continue them on. So one of the things that's happened to the Living Dead Fest. I don't know how you get anything done. This is like trying to talk to somebody tapping your head with drumsticks.
Yes, all the time.
It's so wonderfully charming, however. Anyway, trying to get something out of my mouth. We want to get back to the family kind of situation, and believe me, the twins were not part of that plan. They now are an intimate part of the plan. But I just mean we used to have fun. We used to have fun, and that's what we're all about. We want to keep people informed. We have the best information on the living dead than anyone. We have the most interesting people of anyone, and so we kind of need. I don't know how many people are watching right now, but we really need your support. We're going to get more organized in this, but up hell or high water, we did run throughs yesterday, all this sort of stuff, and then all of a sudden we had a computer crash that was at the core of everything. So we're going to get much better at this, and we're going to be on time. So bear with us. If you remember, in the old days, we weren't polished. We don't want to be polished now, but we really want to bring back to the Living Dead world this sense of community together. And the other, well, I don't know, now it's probably been about a month ago, Courtney posted that she just on her own decided to, you know, uh, take her nano figures and paint them. And it was like instantaneously a success. And people were all like, oh, that's so great. That's so great. And when I saw that, I said, okay, I got to get Courtney to paint 2 sets of nano figures myself. And just because I want them. And so she actually accepted to do that, which I thought was very kind of her. And I said, hey, you know, we really need to do a night talk on this. Here is a mother of 3 children, 2 of them you just met, and like I said, it's trying to even put a thought together is like having somebody tapping on your head with drumsticks. So how she, number one, how she And what we're going to find out tonight is how she gets anything done just with three youngsters like that, and what was the impetus to do this? Was it to try to go away and isolate yourself from the world, and the fact that this is the first time you've ever painted any figures? So with those thoughts in mind, what's wrong with you, Courtney?
A lot. There's there's no doubt about that. No,
She married me first off. That's the first thing wrong with her.
that's the only reason I'm here is because of him. So
Well,
he,
uh, so obviously you are a woman that's not afraid of challenge.
no, because on top of having three kids, one of which he does speech therapy, occupational therapy. He goes to school and receives those services as well. He's only 4, but he's non-speaking, so he babbles, he makes noises. He started to talk a little bit. Um, we're getting a few words out of him, but so on top we have that
Oh,
going on. And then we also have the fact that I, for some reason, decided to go back to school to obtain my master's in a master's of education in special education. So,
wow.
yeah,
Very
Well,
the
busy in the Lowry house.
the
wow.
challenge is real.
Yeah, for sure. And so you've never painted figures before. Why did you just decide that you should paint figures now?
So, a while back when Daniel got his 3D printer, um, we had the idea of, like painting little figures. I think one of the first ones he ever painted or he ever printed was a face hugger. So I'm
Ah,
gonna try to get this up here to see if you can see it, but I have painted this,
yeah, we can see
and
it great on the tight cam.
yeah. So, and
Wow.
then on the other side, so it's fully painted, to the best of my ability to screen print, but that was one of the first things he printed, and I was like, I want to paint this. So we looked up what kind of paint we would need and um, bought some, and that's how it started. So when the nano figures came out, it was shortly after I had started painting these figures. I mean, these 3D prints. Um, and Daniel was like, it would be really cool if somebody painted those. And I looked at them, and I was like, I can paint those. I don't know why I said I could paint those, but I said I could paint them, so I had to paint them. So that's how we're here.
Well, yeah, well, and that is exactly why we're here. Um, I just think did you what previously had you painted other things? Are you a painter?
Nope.
I know that collectively, I know that Daniel has his fingers in a lot of different pies, and obviously 3D printing is one of them. But
Yeah.
so you just went ahead and bought the paint and started painting and said, "Oh, wait a minute, that doesn't look too bad. Maybe I can keep doing this. That's great."
So there's
So
like a zombie stormtrooper that I painted.
so you painted several of Daniel's 3D prints before, so you had a little idea, brush stroke, and what kind of things you were going to need to do it through those, huh?
Yeah, the biggest challenge with these figures is A, the size, B, the material that they were made of. It would take away the features if we were to prime them before we painted them. So I didn't want
Uh-huh.
that to happen.
Right.
So I decided to try to paint them as is, and that requires a little bit more. It requires more paint but they still look the same once they're done.
Right,
Um,
right. I understand that. It's
but
just
it's
like
just
the more layers of paint, there's so little detail in the beginning on the nano figures in particular that
right.
it would all just fill in with
I mean,
paint.
because for example, like these, there are some in there that are a darker gray. Like this is Barbara's figure, and
Right.
you know, there's a lot of detail in that tiny little figure, and I do my best to capture that. So, um,
Hey,
I
just Courtney, before we go too much further, is there a more neutral background you could have behind those? Because they're a little bit hard to see when you show them to us. Yeah,
yeah,
maybe,
that should
yeah, I
work.
think, yeah,
Is that a little better?
that's much better.
Okay.
It's still, it's all relative because let's remind everybody, these are what, like 2 inches tall?
Yeah, they're this size. For example, like that's one of my paint bottles.
Right.
So they're tiny.
Yeah. Probably under 2 inches. All right. So how many did it take um, before you felt kind of comfortable? And was it is it could you wash the paint off if you wanted to try it again? Um, how did that all go down?
I never washed one off. I just kept going with it. You can wash these off. The paints that I use are water-based acrylics, so they're water soluble. You can wipe the paint off easily. Um,
Right.
I'll show you. For anyone that wants to know, this is the paint that I use. If the camera will catch up with me. I don't know if you can see that box.
We need to go back. Yeah, there you go.
Let me flip it.
It's upside down. Yeah.
Everything's backwards. But
Right.
this is what I started out with, and I gradually added to the collection of paint. But
Right.
this is what got me into it.
And we've got a lot of friends and that paint models too, or at least I do. So we had actually asked them, what's the best paint brands to get, and the answer that I got from every single person was the cheap paints are just as good as the $10,000 paints.
Huh. Interesting.
Yep.
Interesting. All right. So then off you went. Um, so how long did it take you before you started feeling like, I got it now? I'm sure the first one got a lot of paint on it, and probably maybe the second one too. But how long was it before you said, okay, I got this down now? I know how to do the base. I know how to do the highlights.
Um, Really, I think it was after the first figure because I showed it to Daniel and he was just amazed. He said, basically how it started is Daniel was painting the 3D figures with me, and then he looked over and realized that I was just a faster painter and better at painting these. He's better on painting a big canvas. Apparently, minor details, but he just kind of handed it over all to me and said, "You can paint." But now after I did the first figure, I started to get more comfortable with it. I mean, I took my time, and over time I got a little faster because I had the other ones to reference. Because the first ones I'm having to go through the movie and pick screenshots and make sure that they look the same and all of that. But once I had one set painted, it gets a little easier each time.
Right, right, right. So the two sets that I got are going to be really, really good, right?
Daniel, where's the box with his figures?
Hang on, I got to get up.
Yeah. Because I will show you some of your figures. Oh
I'm
yeah, and it
sorry.
comes with a bonus.
Uh-oh.
Well, yeah.
You will
Just,
see the
just an,
bonus in a minute.
Yeah.
So this one is probably my favorite, in all honesty, and I hope you can see most of it. If I have to hold it up to this one, I can. Let's
go
see.
back to that other cam.
Yep, we're trying.
Oh, dear. It's a little soft, but
Yeah,
can you put it up to the other cam, to that
yeah,
front
let's
cam?
try it.
Yeah. Oh, that's much better. Wow, it is. That is Ben and his torch. So that's your favorite. Is that
Because
what?
I added a little bit of color to this one, even though they're black and white figures. If you look at the fire, you can see the actual orange tint to it
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
kind of make it look like it's glowing.
Yeah. It
So,
definitely does that.
and this is my other favorite, even though it is my least favorite to paint. Simply because that's a lot of flowers.
Yeah. Oh, yes. That was one that poked out for sure.
Yep. She turns
That's
out
just,
amazing, but the flowers, oh, the flowers.
and just so everybody knows that you weren't like painting them on something that was on uh, the figure itself. The figure was absolutely smooth, right? So you had to put the pattern on.
Now, actually, if you look really close at those figures, the patterns are there. I just follow
Aha.
the patterns.
Okay.
So you can see each one of those little flowers on the figure.
All right, but you got to stay within the lines.
Yeah, she was a little difficult. The other thing, let me think. The other thing about that one is when I first painted ours, I didn't notice that they included the bandage on her arm.
Ah.
So when I was started painting your first set, I noticed that it was there, so I had to go back and add it to our set to paint the
Aha.
bandage on her arm. But I hate that this one is so blurry. Like, I wish I could get it to focus a little better, but it's tiny, tiny, tiny.
Yeah, it's just
right here.
unfortunate that camera is just not good.
Yeah, I don't know what is going on with it.
All right,
But
we're
my
doing
camera's
just
just as
fine.
fine. And then, of course, this is the one that got the most attention.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is stunning. I just think that would make George Romero proud. I think it. You capture. Do you have an unpainted one, just to show
Yes.
people?
Uh, this is the one that I will show y'all tonight that we will work on a little bit. So
Yeah.
that was the beginning. This is
Yeah.
now.
And that's so cool. I mean, it just, to me, it just, there's a certain casualness about George that is just great. I mean, that's George Romero. So
Yeah.
hats off to you on that one. Did a great job. Hey,
Thank you.
Daniel.
Yes, sir.
Daniel, while is there any swap out that we can get that tighter camera to be? It is out of focus. Is it?
I'll
Are
go
you?
for it.
Could you use your camera, for instance? Because I think if Courtney's going to do any painting, we really
We can
need
even
it.
see better footage. Yep. Give me a minute.
Yeah. Thank you.
Oh, but this is your bonus.
Ah.
This is yet to be
Can we
painted.
get it? Can we get? Yeah. There you go.
This is yet to be
Ah,
painted
the
and
house.
put together, but you will get a house. and here's the port.
Wow.
So
Ah.
you will receive that painted.
That's another thing we can talk about. Obviously, you saw, for those who saw the beginning of the show, there was a little video that Daniel put together of the whole farmhouse set together, with the truck and the house and all of the major players, and all of this is the point. This is really, there you go. I guess you would call that a diorama.
Yep.
Well, hopefully it's just fantastic. I mean, you have no idea what it does for my heart to see 53 years later what someone is doing in honor of something that I had anything to do with. It's the height of my life, all of everything. It's just so cool that that fans care enough to do this, and this is the energy that I want to tap, in our communications here. And again, I'm apologizing a little bit. You get thrown off. It doesn't go to the way, because of a technical problem. It doesn't go the way your planning had it, but we're into it now, and I think this is the essence of it. It doesn't matter about which cameras where, this, that, or the other thing. If we're going to connect with other fans, Judy Hennessy put the bee in my bonnet, in a chat that I created in the Living Dead Fest page, or group, that at that she brought out a good point. When we were all involved in the chapel fundraiser, it was a group effort. Everybody, I mean, because you saw the opportunity to be able to do something to save this legendary icon of American pop culture. And it did everybody great. I mean, they knew they could buy a $20 T-shirt, and all of that money was going to go directly into putting, a new cap on the building, or put new walls or new windows. And I wonder, my whole philosophy in the beginning, about all this, and I will stop talking, but this is just so important to the whole thing, I think, and you're an element of it, and Daniel's an element of it, and your two lovely children are elements of it.
Three.
Well, three, excuse me, yes. Well, you're right, because the way I first met you was you wanted to be able to bring your son to the 50th anniversary, and the
This one.
Byam, yeah, the Byam had this weird, child ruling law, and anyway, everything got cleared up, and so he actually got to participate in the 50th anniversary.
And he
So,
sat there pretty much the whole movie.
right, right. That's wonderful. And this is all I'm trying to talk about. In all this chaos that's going on in the world, I know that there's a group of people that all believe in one common thing, and that's Night of the Living Dead. And the more we can get them sharing and participating in these sort of group efforts, the better it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, back to painting figures. What is Daniel? Is he working on another camera?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, there you go. Still a little soft. I guess that's really pushing it for anything. Okay, so now here's the George figure.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us what you're doing.
It looks like a mess for about the first 30 minutes, and then it starts to come together. But really, all it is to begin with is just putting a base coat of similar colors that you're going to use because you're going to layer over it. You don't want to go like too dark to start with. Um, if you go lighter, you can layer onto that. Um, so usually that's how I go. But you have to go through and clean up the lines later.
With a
And
finer brush?
yeah, sometimes, I mean, the smallest brush that I use would be this one. I don't know if you can see how tiny that is.
Yeah, that's tiny.
Yeah.
But but comparing it to the figures you're painting, it's not quite as compared to a human. It's very tiny compared to that figure you're painting. It's not quite as fine.
Right. But yeah, I looked up the reference photo for this, where they pulled the image from. I'm not even sure, Daniel. Do you know where the image came from?
I think it came from the Call of the Dead DLC video game from.
No, for these figures. No,
If you look up, if
I'm sorry. These figures were all designed by Joe Senna.
oh yeah, but the inspiration for his clothes um
Ah.
was a
Oh,
picture
I got you.
from. Yeah,
I got you.
yeah,
Sorry, you're talking about the painting,
yeah, yeah.
right?
The like the colors and everything. That's where I pulled it from. Was the video game, because it's the image of him standing just like this, um, and that's where I got the color scheme from.
Well, you nailed it.
But yeah, the the first time, did I paint him first or did I paint the other figures?
Other figures first.
Okay, so I painted the smaller figures first, and then I painted George.
And Joe, if you're listening, Joe, those figures are so amazing. I'm so impressed when we got that box and opened them up. Love them. Great job.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could hear that. Were you able to?
No, very difficult.
He said,
But
Joe, if you're listening, the figures are amazing.
all
But
right, so back to painting.
yeah, and with the
Yeah, it's
fact that
just
it
this.
glows in the dark, makes it a little bit even more difficult because it's just so translucent.
All right,
But
right. You got to
once,
get heavier coat on to cover it,
yeah, but like I
and
said,
that
if you
we
find
and we
these,
should we should let everyone know that obviously once you paint them, uh, George doesn't glow in the dark anymore. But I think
no,
I think it's I think it's important for him to be in his clothes.
yeah,
We were going to try something, and it'd be just interesting to see how it works. But to just leave the base glow might be kind of cool. I don't know.
hmm yeah. There's actually, I don't know if you've seen it. His name is actually across the bottom of the base, but it's not
Right,
very raised, so it's really hard. It wouldn't. How do I explain it? It's not like I can paint each letter because they're just too fine.
right.
So it's like you would have to paint it one color and then go over it with a lighter color to bring out the letters.
Right. Well, let's just do this as a sample and see if it works. We can always paint the base if it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think it would be pretty cool with the base translucent. We'll see. If we don't finish
Yeah.
it tonight, I'll send you a picture.
Right.
But and
So
it's we actually, you were talking about, was this an escape for me? It is, but at the same time, most of the time the kids are down here while I'm painting. Daniel's down here. I couldn't do anything if it wasn't for Daniel because he takes care of the kids, so I have time to paint, and they still come over here and play with me, but at the same time, I have the time to focus on this. And yes, I do manage to get my schoolwork done in between all of this as well. I'll probably have to get off here and go do a PowerPoint, finish it. It's okay. My school runs on Arizona time, so I've got 3 extra hours.
Wow. Okay.
We don't want to talk about the times that I've stayed up till 2. That's normal for me, anyways.
Well, you're still young. You can do it.
It gets harder every day, trust me. I believe that it just I think kids just take all the energy away.
Well, no doubt about that. And 3,
But
yikes. I had 1 and it was like, this is never going to end. There is no end to this. And I mean, I guess it kind of doubles up on itself. I mean, if your attention is being demanded, it doesn't triple because you have 3. It just maybe it goes up by another 1 or half percent.
yeah,
You
it's completely different because, with Atticus is very independent. He doesn't, I mean, he obviously is a mama's boy, but he'll come up and cuddle with me and everything, but he wants to do his own thing.
uh-huh.
And however, my daughters, I love them to pieces, but now I understand why I was given one that doesn't talk first.
Wow.
because they talk enough for 4.
They're making up for it.
They are, and he picks up on it. Like he's recently started saying no and mama and a couple of
Excellent.
other words. So,
Now,
we're seeing
now
a lot of progress.
was not meaning to get too personal, but was he the impetus for you to go back to getting a degree in special education?
100%.
Wow. Yeah.
I had
How, how,
always I had always considered going back for my master's, but I never felt like the choices I had were the right thing. And this one
uh-huh.
just kind of fell in my lap and I just went for it. Pretty sure
Excellent.
I didn't tell Daniel until after I had enrolled.
So he had
Because
no
he was like,
choice.
"Oh, you're serious about this?" I'm like, "Yeah, this time I am." But
Well,
it's
somehow, the balance is right. You're taking on all these challenges now at a young age. Everybody's young to me, um, and I'm only speaking from my history that there's no question about it. You've got to do all that stuff. You got to be kind of wrapped up and pretty content by the time you're in your mid to late 50s. you know
yeah,
um, so then you have a chance to appreciate all those years that you packed into such a short amount of time. um, and you'll never forget that, and you'll never regret it. That's a guarantee, even though as tough as it might seem, when you're reaping the rewards of all your efforts that you put in. That's going to be the real deal.
right. Yeah,
Meanwhile, you're just painting along. How much you got done?
um just about finished with the shirt for right now. I usually like to give like I'll paint one part, go to another one, let it dry a little bit, and then I'll go back over it later with the details and everything else that needs to be added.
So
Um,
how long does it take for this stuff to dry where it's fairly you know touchable?
It dries extremely fast. Like
No.
most of the time, if I put my paint in my tray, um, and walk away for 2 minutes, I'll have to
It's
remix paint.
right. All right.
So it
So,
dries really fast.
which hopefully that's better than drying really, really slow, or it would take you forever to get anything done.
Yeah, because then you wouldn't be able to touch it and it would just mess it up every time you went to do something else. Sorry, guys. My best friend just came down the steps and spilled an entire cup of ice. That's why I'm laughing.
Oh, well.
um, so, but yeah, there's the reason that Daniel was so excited for me to do this is because no one ever talks to me when we go to the conventions, or, I don't have the opportunity because I'm wrangling kids. So,
Well, because he's billed himself as the celebrity of the two of you. I mean, he's the one that
yeah,
it is. I mean, that's just a weird way that things would happen. How many conventions have I been with you? When about all only thing I've talked to you about is handing you back the 16 millimeter print of Night of the Living Dead,
right.
at the end of a show or something like that, because Daniel's off running around doing some other thing. So yes, it is very good to meet the other half of the Lowry duo.
Yeah, he the reason he says that I needed to talk is he's fascinated with everything that I've done up until this point.
Yeah, there you go. Well, that's
So the
so.
quick rundown of my backstory is I originally went to school for criminal justice, so I got my 4-year degree in that. Um, at the age of 21, I started working at a prison as a correctional officer, and this said prison housed 18 to 26-year-old male inmates.
Ouch.
That was that was 9 months of pure hell.
I can only imagine.
I can honestly say that was one that I wished I could have wiped from existence. But after I stayed there for 9 months, I transferred to what was supposed to be considered the more dangerous prison compared to the rest of them in the state. Actually, it was just the most secure. um, but I started working there and originally worked general population, which means I was there in the dorms where they stayed. They went to work, all this other stuff. Um, and then shortly, I stayed in that unit for a few months, and then I went to what we call operations, which they're the ones that take inmates to the hospital. If they're admitted to the hospital, they have to sit there with them. Um, so you're outside of the prison. And of course, when you're outside of the prison with inmates, you carry a gun. So I did that for quite a while. And then the reason I rushed through this is because there's a more interesting part coming. Trust me. So after I would do everything that I could to get into different units, simply because I would get bored with where I was at and I wanted something different. Um, so they had a position open for a transportation officer. And what transportation officers do is they work Monday through Friday, but any court dates that the inmates have, we would take them and drop them off. Um, we would take them to the hospital if they had to have an outpatient surgery. So we would literally sit in the OR while they're having the surgery, with your gun and everything on, and then you have to put scrubs on top of that. So that's how you were standing in the OR watching actual surgeries.
Wow.
So
Wow. Ouch.
yeah,
Again.
yeah, I was so that's why like horror movies have never really scared me, especially now that
Because
I'm older, because I'm like
you've lived the actual ones.
um because I worked there for a while, and I was proud of that simply because I was the only female transportation officer that they had.
Wow.
So
How
I mean,
long
there
did
were
you do
days,
that?
I don't remember exactly how long I was in transportation, but it was maybe about a year. And the only
Okay.
reason I left that is because I got a job as a probation officer, thinking that that would be better.
Oh boy.
That was a nightmare. It was a bureaucratic nightmare, is what it was, because the whole job was just politics, and I don't. I was there to try to help people, and that was not their agenda
And the
most of the
system was
time.
preventing you from doing that.
Yeah. Um, so
Isn't
I didn't stay there. I stayed there a little less than a year, and at that point, I had enough sick time built up that I went to my doctor and I was like, I can't do this anymore. Just put me on
make
medical leave so I can figure out what I'm gonna do.
right. Right.
So,
Wow.
and I think by then I was 25, around that age. We hadn't had Atticus yet. We were living about an hour away from our family, and not long after we had Atticus, a house just kind of fell in our lap back in our hometown. As in, like, it was the perfect house, and we just couldn't resist. So that's where we're at now. And you can see behind me, this is Daniel's playroom.
Man
This is,
cave.
yeah, he gets the entire
I
basement.
hate that term. I can't even believe I actually brought it up. it's
I just call
it,
it his I just call it his dungeon because it's a basement, so there's no light.
right. But it's where his inspiration comes from. That's funny. That
Yeah.
proves it. That proves that his art is dark.
Oh, trust me, when he'll take the camera around here in a little while and show you a glimpse of what is down here. It's insane. I'm not quite
See
sure how
this?
much. I'm not quite sure how much how he fits this much stuff in a space.
Well, that again is all part of crazy fandom, and imagine, you're, well, I might be wrong, but would you consider Daniel a collector as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
he has
so that
he has the film reel. Of course, he's a collector.
right, of course. What a silly question. But that's it. I keep coming back to this. Do you have any idea? I know you guys, all the fans go, oh, the people that made Night of the Living Dead. I'm actually talking to Gary Striner or Russ Striner or any number of the people, obviously, that you guys have been able to talk to from the beginning. But what I have to say is I'm absolutely as inspired by fandom. You
Hmm.
know, somebody asked me when while I was in the middle of the Living Dead fest and putting on the show and everything else, what was more important to me? Was it making the film or coming back and really having the privilege to organize Save the Chapel and meet all of you people, and
Hmm.
and and hands down, that was it. I mean, obviously making Night of the Living Dead is something that not everybody gets to, uh, put on their list of credits. But it was a job, you know.
Yeah.
It was a matter of dedication to follow, follow a system. We had all worked very well together. George was always our leader.
Hmm.
I've said it time and time again. George was actually, um, George knew the answer before you knew the question, and so yeah, that all of that was really wonderful. But actually, as a life experience, doing this
Hmm.
right now, this is just terrific to think that people care this much about this film. Now I know that not everything in Daniel's space there is Night of the Living Dead, but you know, you still, hey, he bought a 16 millimeter print of Night of the Living Dead. That just means so much to me.
Do you
I know. Go ahead. I'm sorry. You got to
do
shut me up
you
'cause I'll go on and
no?
on.
Do you know the story behind the film reel?
I don't. Well, I probably do, but I've forgotten it.
Okay, well, you can see Fluffy up here first off. He has, yeah, so, and then, all right, so let me try to get this straight. Can you see? So up there, he's got a lot of the Dawn of the Dead stuff. Here is Creepshow.
Right?
Come down here, and this is where night starts. So here's the
Wow.
film reel. It's in the cabinet with Bill
Right.
Heinzman.
Yeah.
He has a trowel, of course,
Right.
and let's see. Then we come down, of course, the head.
Right. Oh my, you were okay.
So
All right.
yeah, and then down here, funny story about this model right here, and I always bring this up because it drives me nuts to this day. The Roger figure that was the model kit. Um, I was watching. This was before I met Daniel. Before I knew a lot about these movies. So I was watching an episode of Hoarders, and the woman that they were working with had one of those figures sitting in her yard, and they threw it away.
Ouch.
Yeah, it hurt me a little bit once I realized what it was. Um,
Right.
so, but up here, he's got a newspaper and a ton of signatures on it. Let me see. Here we go.
Right.
Um, and I love gremlins, so gremlins are everywhere.
Right.
But the thing, he's got zombies everywhere. The Shining, but it's everywhere. And
I al-
the other thing is obviously Alien because I named my daughter Ripley. So this is all we have aliens hanging from the ceiling. It's yeah.
right.
So that's just a hint. And I saw Daz with this poster. So I wanted to show y'all this. So Daniel has been looking for this poster and he had not been able to find it. So he decided to just draw his own. And there is a terrible glare on it.
Yeah,
So
unfortunately.
let me see
Maybe tip
if
it down.
that's a little better. Nope. The lighting is terrible down here. I told you it's a dungeon. But this is the poster that Daz had sitting behind him before we started. It's the Night of the
Aha.
Living Dead with the skull on it. Um,
Right.
so he drew it. He got tired of looking for
Right.
one, couldn't find it, so he made his own. And he did the same thing for this zombie poster. He 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 drew this.
Well, I know this is supposed to be a Courtney painting figures, and that's really exciting. But this is a bonus feature to actually be inside a collector's um, collection,
Right.
and probably every bit as interesting to anyone that would be watching this. And again, this is what I want, and I know Jim Cirinello wants Night Talk to be all about.
Hmm.
It is all about you people do these things, and and when I see you all get together, there's such an amazing immediacy, because um, you don't have to learn who one another are. I mean, if you come to a Living Dead weekend,
It's a
you might as
family.
well you might as well be a sister, or certainly a cousin,
It's a
and
family.
everybody reacts that way. And if only we could clone that. If we could just clone that attitude and that mindset, and do it as a nation, we'd be in a whole hell of a lot better shape than we are. But let's take what we have, and let's really cherish it, is my thinking, and my point of view in all of this. um
Well, and the way that I
uh,
look at it is, you know, I know that it's got to be an honor for all of you, for you and your brother and everyone, simply to know that 53 years later, there's still much this involvement.
yeah,
And, there's still this legacy of George that is always there.
100%. 100%. Russ and I talk about this all the time. And yeah, and that's the reward for hanging in there and working long hours and long nights, and not always having what you needed to get something done. But again, um, we're about an hour into this show, and there haven't been very many small points, because you just make it work. And
Hmm.
that's what my career and my life has always been the same way as well. It's just whatever hand you're dealt, make it work.
That's all
And
you can do. Otherwise, you're going to be miserable.
yeah, yeah, or you're never going to get anywhere. You're
Right.
just going to you're going to stagnate and drive yourself out of your mind, out of your own mind.
Right.
So anyway, I'm really proud of our fans. I'm really proud, and I'm sure any film can say the same thing. Fandom is fandom. It's a blind energy that just focuses on a mutual like for something.
Hmm.
It's very funny. Hopefully I'm gonna post it soon. I just have to get permission from my friend. But a friend of mine, son, and wife just had their first baby. And I'm going to say, maybe the baby's 10 months old or something like that.
Hmm.
And he he's been my best friend since childhood. And he happened to see the boxes, and
Yeah.
he said, "Hey," he said, and I don't even know what his granddaughter's name is, but he said, "Hey, I want to get." I'm really horribly bad with names, but he said, "Hey, do you have one? I want to buy one because I want to give it to this little girl." And I'm thinking to myself, well, she's 9 months old, and you want to give her a lunchbox? And he sent me two of the most adorable pictures. She just loves this lunchbox.
Really?
And it's like, yeah. And I'm thinking she might not even be 9 months. She might be 6 months. I don't know. She
Yeah.
can she can sit up, and I don't know what age that is.
Probably
Maybe
about
she's,
8, 9 months, somewhere in there.
yeah, yeah. And there
Trying
she
to.
is with this lunchbox. And you know what? that lunchbox is going to be in her room or in somewhere in her life, maybe
Hmm.
forever, and that's what legacies are all about. That's what I think the surviving people of Image 10 and Night of the Living Dead really care about. I know Russ cares about it immensely.
Hmm.
And again, anyone that's ever met my brother at a convention, it's he's at his best when he's around fans. And let's not forget about George Romero.
Hmm.
I mean, when George was alive, he loved the fans. Judy O'Day, I
I love
she
her.
she is. I watched her. We were like, I guess it was last June. We were at Chiller,
Hmm.
and and she was like 3 tables away from me, and I just watched her. She's a complete rock star. She
She
is
is.
so engaging, and she is so energized by the energy of the fans. And I'm sorry, we gotta work that out. We gotta make we have to get better. This was a bit of a letdown technologically, but it was also a complex one because normally it's just talking heads. We don't have painted figures and all of a
Yeah.
sudden cameras for some reason. So the whole thing is a little clunky, but that's okay. I think
It's a learning experience.
that this is maybe the fifth night talk that we've done,
Hmm.
and um, and through various different iterations, and first of all doing it on Zoom, and now doing on which is just a platform which you build this off of, and now doing StreamYard. Um, but anyway, that all that stuff will clean itself up, and this is going to become a really, really interesting way for all kinds of fans. I
Hmm.
want to talk to Trisha Martin. You know, do you know Trisha Martin or know of her work?
Yes.
She's a
Yeah.
phenomenal artist. She's a
Yeah.
phenomenal artist, self-taught artist. But not only
Hmm.
artist, I first met her. She was one of the first people, when we started to save the chapel or fix the chapel. She was one of the first people to shoot a video, and she
Hmm.
was just she had just woken up. She found out what the mission was. She was barely had her first cup of coffee,
Hmm.
and she decided that she needed to sit down at her dining room table and tell people why they should get together and rally around saving the chapel. And it almost made me cry,
Hmm.
because it was so freaking sincere. And we don't get sincere in very many parts of our lives anymore. And
Right.
then she said, "Oh yeah, we do this thing called Corpse O'Clock News," and she. I don't know if you've ever seen. No, they're all on her YouTube channel. But she just blew me away. She and Gore, her husband,
Uh-huh.
put together probably this 10-minute Corpse O'Clock News, and it was transmitting from hell.
Oh my God.
and and the creativity was just made you feel good. And in the shuffle we've lost a lot of those people. The original
Hmm.
group is gone, so we're going to create a new group. This is going to be my hope and mission is to make this the group that comes and does fun things together and learns from one another. And yeah, we're going to have real collectors. Not that Daniel's not a real collector. That's not what I mean. But other real collectors that
Right.
they fashion themselves as being major collections, whether it's trading cards or whatever. Um, you know, there's so many people, there's so many episodes that we can do this with. So I'm glad the pace of this kind of went the way it was, because for those people watching, we need your help. We need that, you know, we need to get around this and give us the opportunity to, you know, keep doing them. We're going to keep doing them anyway. So,
Right.
you know, let's just hope they catch on.
Right.
So through this
Hey
chat and
Gary, this
through
is
this
Daniel.
wonderful,
Can you hear me?
You're echoing.
yes, I can.
We've got a question from a viewer named Russ Striner.
Hey, Russ.
I don't know who that could be.
No idea.
What is the question? Oh,
Daniel, what's the question?
Well, when Courtney paints Johnny, can she make him better?
can't hear.
I'll
I
show
couldn't
you a
hear.
Johnny.
Ah, okay.
Let me get it. Let me see. It might focus. Maybe. It's thinking about it. Ah, these
Is there any
cameras, I
chance you
swear.
could put a white card or something behind it, because it kind of gets lost in all the background shade?
Let's see.
It's there. We really need a micro camera. That's the problem.
He's
It,
pretty good looking though. I promise.
and you got the tie down. You got
Oh yeah,
all the more.
there's the dots on the tie and his gloves. So yeah, he's a pretty handsome figure.
Well, he doesn't know it yet, and he will now, but he's getting one of these sets. One of the two sets that you're painting for me, one of them's going to him. So
I
he has
figured.
that. So that he has that coming to his collection.
He's also getting a house too.
Ah, drop it a little lower. I can't wait. Now
So
I have to ask another kind of weird question, because I do this with I it always amazes me, even just with ladies that collect tchotchkes. How do you clean it? How do you keep it from not just getting like everything being covered in dust?
um so one of the things you use is it's a matte finish. So you need to spray it.
No,
Otherwise,
I was talking about your collection.
oh.
All that stuff. How do you keep it clean?
Well, for like bigger things, like the masks and everything, uh, a little hint to people that collect them is if you rub them down with Armor All about once or twice a year, once a year, it will keep the plastic and the foam from breaking apart. So that's tip
Uh-huh.
number one. Air duster.
Ah,
That's usually how we get most of it off.
blow it to
Very
some other
carefully, but air
blow
duster.
it to some other place.
Yeah. Usually those cabinets don't get opened except to put new stuff in. Very rarely do we take stuff out of them. But Daniel's got another print right here. This is for the board game. So this is a tiny house for the board game.
Right.
So when we open up our board game, I'll paint the rest of those when I have time. I'll paint the rest of those figures, but these are even smaller than the ones that I'm doing right now, the
Than the
nano
Nano
figures.
Force ones. Yeah.
But
Yeah, they were
that
just, oh man.
see, those are still so tiny, but they still have a lot of detail and color.
Oh man.
Ooh,
Yes, and come on went to, I thought, great extremes to create their pieces.
and there's a
Yeah,
tiny little
that's
3D printed truck.
That's so cool. That is, it's just, it's just cool. It's as simple as that. And that in the whole cosmos, you just have to have a knucklehead that decides he wants to make all those things on his 3D printer. But Daniel's going to have his own chance. We want to talk about 3D printing, and we'll Daniel will have his own show. But
I will
again, it's
say that Daz was a huge inspiration for him to get into that.
really, oh,
Yep.
with
Yeah.
Daz's modeling that he did.
He yeah, he had sent Daniel this, and he did all the modeling and everything for the mall, but he sent
Right.
him the design that he had
Yep.
made for this.
Yep.
So this was what he printed, but this is Daz's design. Um,
Right.
and he was nice enough to share with us. So,
And let's just have a little round of applause for Mr. Spooky Daz.
absolutely.
Hey, Courtney, we have a follow-up comment from Russ Schreiner.
What did he say? What did he say? I can't see it, so.
I'm so flattered instead of painted figures in a farmhouse.
What was that, Courtney?
He said, I'm so flattered, a set of painted figures and a farmhouse. Wow. So I
And
have
he
to show
means
you.
that. I mean, he means
Oh,
that
yeah.
he's from the same blood. He is sitting here right now saying, I can't believe people do this stuff. And
So,
so it's important, though. You know what? It is really important to me, and I know Russ, and I know any of the other Night of the Living Dead crew.
right.
Um, it is really important that we get a chance to tell you guys how much we love you for doing this stuff. This, I don't know. First of all, you've taken me away from the news for at least an hour and a half here,
There you
which
go.
that just in itself is a major savior. So
Right.
anyway, go on. And yeah, not
I have to
enough,
show you
Daniel.
this.
You're going to get your chance later.
No, no, no. I have to show you this because
Oh,
I painted it.
okay.
So the reason we're showing you some of the 3D prints is because these are also things that I've painted.
Okay, I
So
got, yeah.
here you have
Yeah,
the crate that Daniel designed. And we're actually going to have a limited number of those at Living Dead Weekend that we're making. There's one
excellent.
currently there's one currently printing right beside me. So,
About how long does it take to print a house like that? Or I'm
um
sorry, not a house, a
for no, a crate.
crate.
He said about 18 hours.
Wow.
Yep, so it runs constantly.
Yeah. Wow, 18 hours.
Mhm.
But he doesn't have to do anything along the way. I shouldn't be talking about this. I should be talking about it with him later. I'm
This is the last thing that I'll show you of his because this is a reveal. He has come up with this. Can you see all
wow.
of it?
Yep.
So it is a model of the clock tower.
Yep.
So, and it's got the base with it and everything. But that was the last thing I wanted to show you because that was pretty impressive. Oh, and use this one. Here's the printer if you wanted to see.
Yeah. Sure.
Give it just a second. So this is it printing the base. But we'll have all of these painted by the time Living Dead Weekend comes around. Or I will have all of these painted.
Or it's your butt.
Yeah. Or it's my off with your head. Nah, it sounds like a job, but it's really not. It's a way for me to clear my mind. Painting anything, really. I mean, I'll even paint weird stuff like whatever this is.
Right.
But
So tell us what that's now. Is that another 3D printed thing, or no? That was
mhm.
just it
Yep.
is.
Uh-huh.
Well, obviously we're gonna have another show about 3D printing, but what are you gonna have? What's all gonna be available at your table at Living Dead Weekend?
So the clock tower, what we're doing with I'm consulting with Daniel. Just talk. um so he's made model kits for the clock
Right.
tower that he's going to be
Okay.
selling. So
Okay.
people can buy them and they can put them together themselves and paint it.
Right.
Um the other things that we've 3D printed are like this. I painted this after it was printed. So it's not just, Romero stuff. It's other things too
Yeah.
for people.
Yeah.
Um, because there's no telling what people will like to see. Have you ever seen the movie Tremors?
I have not.
It's a weird Kevin Bacon movie where these big monsters come out of the ground and start attacking this tiny little town. So this is an actual flexi, as in this is all one piece, but this is the monster that comes out of the ground. It's called a graboid. So all of these pieces printed, you have to paint them, click them together in order to make it move like this.
Unbelievable.
So, but the interesting fact is when these print, like the face huggers and everything, they print in one piece. So it prints
Wow.
just like this. And then I can go in and paint it however I want.
You could
So,
not be a better promo for an upcoming night talk with Daniel Lowry.
yeah, the only thing is, like, the reason I keep saying it is because I wouldn't be here. Because before I
Right.
met him, I didn't watch. He was the one that introduced me to Alien and all the Romero films and everything else.
Right. Right.
So the interest wouldn't be there without everything that he's done up until this point.
Right. And what a lovely thing for a husband and wife to share. And obviously pass on to their children. I have
Right.
absolutely no doubt that your children will be fans of Night of the Living Dead. I have no doubt.
Oh yeah. Like I said,
You
Atticus even at that young age sat through the whole movie
right.
as he's trying to escape up the steps currently.
So you've gotten a pretty fair amount done there as this thing has been going on.
Yeah, and you can see, like, right now, I know you can't see the details very well, but right now it looks like a mess because the lines aren't clean and everything else. But that's the
Yep.
process of it. You have to make a mess before you can
Right.
get
Then
the
you just go
finished
back
product.
in and
But like
fantastic.
these tiny brushes are the only reason I would be able to do any of this.
It's so cool. I
So we also have a friend that recently got a laser engraver.
ah
So he took some of Daniel's artwork and engraved it on wood. So,
yep. Yep. Fantastic.
and then this is engraved on black acrylic.
Yep.
So another interesting machine that you can look up is a laser engraver. Pretty neat.
I know someone who has it, a guy by the name of Don Gilmore, who is a who is an and I want to say architect. That's not correct. He's they don't come to me, but actually, um, um, Don Gilmore was one of the first people that understood an engineer, and
Ah,
he
okay.
so Don was what is a really good friend of Kyra's, um,
Okay.
and whenever Kyra found out that we needed to rebuild the chapel, um, she said, "Oh well, let's get Don Gilmore up there because he'll be able to tell you exactly what the chances are." Because when we
Hmm.
first started on this, there were some dubious things that just might have made it not salvageable. But as it
Right.
turned out, Don came out and looked around and he goes, "No problem. This is essentially maintenance, that's
Hmm.
long overdue, and that you're now doing it." So anyway, I got to become friends with Don Gilmore, and so within his engineering company, he's got some pretty fantastic equipment. In addition to that, he has built a Bonneville race car,
Wow.
literally from ground up, that he expects hopefully this August he's going to race at the salt flats in the Arizona salt flats, and
Hmm.
he hopes to make this car that he and his group built by hand go 300 miles an hour.
Wow.
So actually,
Wow.
truth actually the truth of it is, too, Don Gilmore would he would if he'd do it. He's a very quiet kind of guy. Doesn't like a lot of hoopla, but Don would be an extremely interesting person to talk to. But
Right.
but also, I mean, just as we're sitting here and just as this is going on, you know, we need to talk because there very easily could be licensable Night of the Living Dead product that you guys could come up with, and we really do need to talk about it because one of the missions that we took on ourselves, and one of the reasons that kind of the Living Dead Fest group fell apart, was because I didn't pay any attention to it, because we were off trying to get things cleaned up with Image 10, and
Right.
actually start getting uh, I see you're wearing a licensed Night of the Living Dead t-shirt as we speak.
Yep. This is
And
the one from the 50th anniversary.
yep. So anyway, we've had really wonderful relationships with a number of different people, but there again, if we can start making uh, this a resource for fan art to take it
Hmm.
one step further. So it's all we only want to really deal in that kind of stuff, in sort of limited edition stuff,
Right.
but there are enough people out there, like when we did the head.
Hmm.
I forget what we commissioned. I think it was only 50, something like that. I think that was our agreement.
We got the
Um,
first one.
you did.
Yeah.
Oh, at Living Dead Weekend.
Yep.
Yep, there you go. And so anyway, we want to do limited edition stuff like that,
Hmm.
little treasures. So it's just doing a mix up. So one of the other things that people need to know about is our website, which is image-10.com. If you haven't been there, Daz is our amazing webmaster, and he's brought so much um, he's just done a great job of making that site a real place for knowledge of Image 10 and Night of the Living Dead. And for the first time ever, like a complete list of people that were involved with Night of the Living Dead. And he's worked his way through creating bios for a number of the for most of them. Some of them are very hard, just hard to get information for, but he keeps chipping at it, and that's what Daz is great about, and that's what you guys are great at. You keep chipping at this, and it makes you feel better in the end to do what you've been doing and are doing. So that's that. Let's let's make that a happening thing. Let's do that all the time. That's what we want.
Gary, I think we got some questions coming in from fans.
Good. Fire them off.
I can't see them.
Yeah, you got to shout them out, Daniel. We can't see the questions.
I'm waiting to get them.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
What are you laughing at? Daniel.
He wants Gary to ask the fans if they have any questions.
Ooh.
Daniel, you have to understand you're really kind of very hard to hear. You're distant from your mic, so.
Yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to ask any of the fans watching if they have any questions.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Bring them on. That's the whole purpose. Unfortunately, we've had a snafu in this week, and it's not going to be quite as clear and clean as it's supposed to be. But that's another thing that we want to embellish, in Night Talk, that we do much more. There's no point in you people watching this live if we can't actually talk to you. So fire away, ask questions. The moment of quiet is gone.
Nah, this one's still pretty quiet.
Oh, okay.
Daniel.
Oh, I had no idea which one was there. They're below the table height.
He's got George. We're running back and forth with children. John says, I love how the website talks in depth with just about every person in the movie.
Yeah. Who said that?
John Vuyo, is that how you pronounce it? I don't want to
John
butcher
Williams.
it, but
yeah. Thank you, John. John, if you can, obviously can. Now, I want to talk about inspiration. I hope we are talking about John Williams.
No, it's John V-U, I think it says V-U-L-L-O.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, John. It's really nice to hear that feedback. That you enjoy those bios and that's good to you. Somehow we have to keep getting that word out. That's all it is we're dedicated to the website. The website is a major power to us, because very soon, and Courtney, this is kind of what I was talking about, we're going to have a store on the website. So the point is that instead of getting beat up by Esty or all of the others, fans are going to be able to sell their licensed product in our own store. And again, if we're looking at to be exclusive. We're not talking about You know, maybe some things would be 250 pieces of something, you know,
Right.
but that could be prints, or that could be this or that, or whatever. I know you know, obviously to have, you know, 250 of the trucks, or even 250 painted sets, nano force sets would be a hard accomplishment. But you know, we're gonna slow by slow. This is what we've been working on, and you know, we've been very kind of quiet about the website. We haven't been pushing it a lot. It's just because it's been up for probably, Daz probably knows better than I do, but it's over a year, you know,
Hmm.
that it's been up. But the difference, um, you know, between what it was when we first went live with it and what it is now is it's a whole new different site, and that's what
Right.
websites are all about. So when it's at its prime, which is coming very soon, you know, then we're gonna push that more, and all we care about is making cool stuff for the fans, and stuff that is um, you know, look, those lunch boxes and Nana for it's amazing. You can't buy one on eBay for less than $79. You
Right.
know, it blows my mind. Fright Rags just, I think, sold out their final last ones at like $26, and you know, and there's only a few left. The Living Dead Museum has some,
Hmm.
and we have some that will go up. Ours will probably be signed, and you know, they'll be a little bit different than just the typical ones.
Right.
So where how we probably got to be thinking about wrapping this up. We're pushing past an hour and a half. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here painting. That's the thing is, like, I can come down here and, like I said, I can still multitask. Obviously, I'm sitting here talking and painting and watching kids and everything else.
And giving tours of the studio and
Yeah, giving tours of all the stuff that's sitting around down here.
well, here again, you know, this was a really this night talk did not go exactly the way that I had it pictured in my mind. But that's the whole point. I don't think it matters. I think we've just been on for like an hour and a half talking fan
Just
stuff,
talking.
you know, talking fan stuff. And any fan that's interested in Night of the Living Dead would be interested in just about anything we've had to say, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
so
because I
hope
mean, you're bringing something to the fans that you
they
know
can't get it,
yeah, you can't get anywhere else. I mean, you're
exactly.
actually sitting here talking to people that worked on the film that know the background of the film. I mean, how many other people are sitting here talking to you?
Right.
Or
Yeah. And that's
anyone
what,
else for that
and
matter,
that,
you know?
yeah, no, that's what's cool about it. Is it that, it's a mutual admiration society, and you know, everybody needs to know is that this isn't for any contrived reasons other than bringing the fans back together in a common place. And you know, and look, we probably just in our conversation tonight, we have 3 new possible episodes for Night Talk, you know, and that's why we want to do them regularly as well.
Okay,
Um,
you have a question really quick. Uh, Dwayne wanted to know, are you actually at the cemetery? He saw gravestones.
I am actually at the cemetery. Oh yeah,
His
the mobile breaking news unit, always, that's its fallback That's his fallback location is a cemetery. Unfortunately, it got too dark to actually be able to see anything. But um, yeah, and we'll do other ones. We'll go to other locations and whatever. And
Of course, you've got the mobile unit now.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And there's another thing. Dwayne, as a matter of fact, Dwayne's daughter has done a T-shirt design, which a T-shirt is coming my way, which I have seen. That
Oh
is a
yeah.
is a T-shirt of. Uh, I gotta practice it. It's the Night Talk Mobile Breaking News Unit.
Where's my sign?
Yeah,
It's over here.
I have to write that on the back of my hand because it's kind of embarrassing that
It's
I don't
the
even know.
there you
Right.
go.
Well, stay on
The
the tight,
official breaking news mobile unit.
which is just preposterous because
Uh,
the only reason there is a Night Talk mobile unit is because I can't do this from home. I have to be on my phone, and the hotspot on my phone is can actually make it work. And people laugh when they hear, you know, uh, money, hundreds of millions of dollars being spent to, to get decent internet service out to the suburbs. Well,
yeah.
I'm a victim of it. Evans City, I have horrible. Uh, I basically have DSL.
Yeah.
So how many
Daniel's
hundred?
Daniel's parents are similar. Like I think they were able to get what Starlink, the new uh Elon Musk thing. So we'll
Oh,
see
I
how
didn't
that
even know
works.
there was a new one. I wonder
Yeah.
that might be pretty good. I might have to look into Starlink because I know that all the other ones were apparently real crap.
Yeah.
The,
I
all
haven't heard any feedback from it yet. They just got it not too long ago. But I
right,
mean, they were where they live, they weren't able to use any streaming apps or anything like that up until a couple of years ago.
right. Well, I was better. I didn't know what I was going to do when I moved back here, but I was actually able to get at least DSL quality, and it's okay for most things. It's just not very good for broadcasting. And
Yeah.
StreamYard is really, um, they don't even like you using wireless. They want you to, hardwire it to your modem and all that sort of stuff for better quality. So anyway,
Uh,
is there
somebody
any
asked to
other?
see the sign again, so if either we can put the picture up or I can show it. There we go.
This I feel like I've been watching an episode of Bob Ross. This is great.
Just sitting here talking and painting.
Talking and painting. Any other
Here's a
questions out
happy little
there?
goon. Here's a mean little goon.
Oh, and here's a zombie shark that I painted.
So cool.
Yep, it's
Well,
fun.
listen, I yeah, go ahead. Anything you want to say, or if there's any other questions, but I think we're about close to wrapping this one up.
Yeah, unless anyone has any other questions or wants to see anything else. But I do want to give a huge thank you to all of you for making this happen and including me. I feel extremely honored to have been the first one picked to do the art.
Well, you were the first one to step up with, at the moment. You were right there at the right moment,
Yeah,
and what you did was, look, we were really, really, really happy that uh, Joe and Ben got together and decided to finally figure out a way. Joe Senna's been wanting to do these Nanoforce figures for I don't know how many years, and
Hmm.
in one situation fell apart to another, and finally, he connected with Ben, and it was great because Ben already had a license with us, and of course
Yeah.
we would have licensed it to Joe as well. But and he that's what got me more excited, or got me excited, because he was absolutely thrilled when he first saw them and said, as
Yes.
long as I've been making these figures, you know, this is incredible. So that all means something somewhere. It all goes into a big file folder somewhere, and it's called
Right.
fandom.
And it's the truth. I mean, that's all it is. It's just fans continuing the legacy of a movie that made a huge impact at the time that it was made. I mean, there's so much behind it that some people know, some people don't, but, you know, there were a lot of politics involved that, nobody really wanted to talk about at the time. It's
Right.
it's talked about now in, the documentaries and everything, and we can openly talk about it, but, just knowing that there was the type of feedback that they got because of the cast. Does that make
Right.
sense? At the time.
Right. You mean because they've always been the cast and crew has always been so, um, I guess, approachable to fans.
And you are. I mean, it's nice to go and just be able to walk up to your table and have a conversation with you instead of being pushed through a line, just to get one quick picture and be done. I would
Right.
rather
and
be able to
and
sit down with you and talk.
yeah, there's always that. There's always going to be that. Obviously, sometimes it gets not. I mean, for me, I'm never that busy. I've had a couple of lines, but not very many. I feel like a lucky strike extra. That's what's weird with all of this, is that I had no idea, um, that just my part in Night of the Living Dead would ever in a million years be interesting to fans. I think that, every one of the people involved with Night of the Living Dead would share that same, thought. It's like,
Well, I mean, being able to go down the street and talk to a neighbor that was a zombie in the movie, and they'll just casually have a conversation with you about it. That's what makes it fun.
right. Well, we are gonna go see LMA. There's no two ways about it. We're gonna we're gonna also do one night talk, and maybe we can get Paula Richards to come over. Those two have, you know they've been a real good pair
Hmm.
at all the events, and people just love them. I mean, they're just people, and
Right.
and and lovely people that have this wonderful story to tell.
So here's your progress so far since we're about to wrap up. But I mean, you can see how much I got done in the short period of time.
with all the distractions.
With
With
even
all the
with all the
distractions, and
yeah. So it,
exactly.
but that's
So
so
on a
far.
on a difficulty scale from 1 to 10, just leave the people out there. What would you say the difficult uh, the scale of difficulty, 1 to 10,
To
for
paint.
another fan to pick this up and do it?
Mm, if you don't have any experience painting, I would say about a 7. But if you've
Wow, what?
painted but if you've painted before, I mean, it's not impossible to paint. Um, it's just time consuming, and you have to be detail oriented. Yeah, and you have to be able to match it, to whatever scene it is or anything like that. So it takes a little bit of research. So if you're new to painting, probably about, I would say a 7 or 8. I wouldn't say that it's like the hardest thing in the world, but you might struggle to begin with. But for an experienced painter, maybe a 2, 3, depending, like I said, on how detail oriented you are. And I have Atticus trying to
Right.
grab everything.
There he is.
If you hear SpongeBob, that's why. But here's still smiling. So,
What a way to end the show.
oh yeah.
With that laugh
And
and that charm.
we
You're a
will,
blessed
yeah,
woman. That's all I can say. You really are. Through all the troubles and all the everything. Um, you're very. I'm very impressed with your maturity.
thank you. And we will
Well,
be, for anyone that's local to like the Raleigh area in North Carolina, we will be at
yeah.
Carolina Fear Fest this year. If
What
you look for us, we're Doodles of the Dead. That was originally the
when
name
is
that
that
Daniel
supposed to
had.
happen? When is that supposed to happen?
May 29th.
All right. Well,
Yes.
feel free also to post that in the the Living Dead groups.
Oh yeah, and we're totally gonna have. We got some of the Living Dead flyers from Larry, so we're gonna have those at the table too.
Right.
So, because
Well, all right.
that's the next place we'll be, is up there with y'all.
Wahoo! I can't wait.
Yep.
I can't wait for June now. That's going to be very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I hope everybody out there. I hope who knows? I don't know how many people actually watched, but
I don't even know.
yeah.
Oops,
Let's hope that you know there. If you watched, I have no fear. You were at least amused along the way, and in my mind, it was a successful show, even though it was production wise not where we want things to be. But we got the point across.
Oh yeah, that
Um,
this is something new that, I mean, obviously it was the first time we were ever doing one of these, with somebody painting and talking at the same time and all that.
right,
So
right,
it's logistics. You just have to work it out. But it was fun nonetheless, no matter how many people watched.
exactly. That's my takeaway with it in the end. It's like if I'm having fun, so who cares about anybody else?
I'm just honored to be able to sit here on a podcast and talk to you. So,
Yeah.
excuse me.
Well, it shouldn't be an honor. You should, you're the celebrity in this situation. And that's the whole inspiration, is that the fans get to be, the fans get to be the celebrities.
Yeah.
That's what this is all about. And, as I said, give us a chance. We're new at this whole game, but
Oh yeah.
the resources and I think the understanding of production is all here. So we'll get it down.
Oh yeah. But yeah,
All
there
right.
will like I said,
Yeah,
Carolina Fear Fest, and then we'll be up there with y'all in Pittsburgh or Pennsylvania. I mean,
June. Yeah, June 10th, 11th, and
10th
12th.
through the 12th. Yep.
Yep.
All right.
Courtney,
Well,
I,
it's
I
been
don't know how
fun.
to thank you enough. It's been wonderful. I hope people got at least a little insight into painting figures. I'm sure they got a very good look at the inside of the Lowry household.
Yeah, all the chaos.
But we still pulled off a show, and so that's what matters. Anyhow, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
And thank you. And Jim
upwards
too.
and
I don't know if Jim's in
yeah,
the background, but Jim, Daz,
yeah,
all of you, thank you for making it
yeah.
happen.
That the unfortunate thing was, I guess it was Jim's computer that. Oh, I won't use the term. Something to bed.
Ah,
The
gotcha.
term. This is a family show. I don't want to use dirty words. All right.
Oh yeah, and feel free to message me if if anyone out there does want to talk about the figures or how to paint them, or if you want me to paint them, just let me know.
Right. Okay.
It might be
Very
don't expect them to be done in a very quick time frame, but we can get it done.
well. We'll let you work that out, and we'd be happy to turn anybody that we hear of onto that, and you can work that out with them. That's
Sounds good.
we. All right. Tell Daniel goodbye. Is he
Will
off with
do.
children?
He's sitting right here, but he's got his sound down so there's not an echo. He
Ah,
turned it up.
okay.
He turned it up so he could say bye.
All right. Thank you again. And
Yep,
till the next time,
that's right.
night talk.
See you later.
See ya later.